Milwaukee, but are the sole comments of the host and guest of this particular show.
What's your flavor? What's your flavor? No. Tell me what's your flavor?
Time for new flavor. Yeah.
Good afternoon. It's Flavor Fix Monday. You've tuned into Flavor Fix Radio Show on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM, The Voice, bringing you the latest on Milwaukee's culinary scene. I'm your host, Samantha Starr, founder of Samantha Starr Events, where I bring the community together through my love of food, art, and culture. Today kicks off our new show time, so thank you all for tuning in at 4 o'clock. Our new show time, which I'm very excited about, and we will be on air for 1 hour now. So now you can watch us from 4 to 5 p.m. as always on YouTube Live, on Facebook Live, and on the radio on 860 AM and 106.5 FM. If you have any questions, make sure you call us at 414-444-5250. So y'all know it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? So I have Courtney Johnson here, aka the Queen of Aesthetics, who's the founder of Mixed MKE, a mobile bartending service here in Milwaukee. And y'all know I love a good happy hour. Y'all know you do too. Courtney has the inside scoop on all things cocktails, and I'm so excited to have her here today. It's also a special day for me. It is my 1 year anniversary of full-time entrepreneurship.
Congratulations. That's what's up. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I mean, it's been a thrill. It's been, lots of pros, cons, lots of learning lessons. All the things I'm sure you can attest. Yep. But it is, it's very rewarding.
Awesome.
And I'm happy with my decision still, and all things are good. And I'm excited to be here with y'all.
Well, congratulations.
Celebrating.
Yeah. It's most definitely a time to celebrate that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a milestone. So
yep, for sure. So y'all know I love my icebreakers. So I got a fun icebreaker. First of all, we didn't wave to the camera, so let's wave to our guests. You can wave to that one. Oh, just that one. Okay. All right. So I got a few cocktail related drink questions for you.
Okay.
You can chime in too if you want to. All right. So on the rocks or neat?
On the rocks.
On the rocks. What about you?
On the rocks.
On the rocks?
Yeah, I need it on the rocks.
Yeah.
Okay. I can go either way.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Really?
It might depend on what it is.
Well, because I'm a whiskey drinker.
Yeah.
Whiskey and bourbon.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
But sometimes I still like my rocks, like, old fashioned or,
Yeah, I got to hear some chingling going on. Chingling.
All right. Margarita or Paloma?
Margarita. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more versatile, so you can do a lot more with margarita.
It is. That's
Whereas
true.
Paloma's kind of, you stick to the script most of the time.
Yeah, that's true. You drink either of those?
No, I'm more of a brown drinker when I do drink. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Salt rim or no salt?
Salt, always salt. Tahini if you have it.
I do tahini if they have it too. Yep. Yep. I can't do the salt. It make me do just that. All right. Cosmo or lemon drop?
Lemon drop.
Lemon drop.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you get your lemon drops if you're not making it?
Lemon drop. Where do I? Elsa's probably.
Everybody loves Elsa's. I'm not a lemon drop person, but everyone loves their lemon drop.
Yeah,
I've tried it one time. It just hits you right there.
Sour. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It hits you real high.
Okay. Well, I love to get started and learn a little bit about you, your background and your journey and how you got into mixology and bartending. And you want to kick us off?
Sure. So I've been in business officially for like 3 years, maybe. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that I've always done. Obviously, you have parties and things like that, and I'm usually the the bartender for those. And
Mhm.
I was like, you know what, I should just see if I can get paid to do something like this. Why
Right.
not?
Right.
Because people would always ask me to make drinks for their parties and stuff.
Mhm.
So I started out on just making videos like on TikTok and
Mhm.
Instagram. And I'm like, let me just see how this goes. Like, I didn't really put any thought into like actually doing it.
Okay.
But then I started getting inquiries from there, and I was like, all right, I guess the interest is there. And so
Mhm.
and I started making it a real thing.
Yeah. So you from Milwaukee?
Yes, born and raised.
Born and raised.
Yep, from Milwaukee. Yeah.
Now, did you get any experience working at any bars?
No,
or-
I had no bartending. Actually, my first bartending experience was 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Where at?
I
If you don't
bartend
mind.
at Poorman's now
Oh, okay.
on Fridays.
So how was that on a Friday night for your first
it was
time?
busy. And like I've done it, I mean, as for my own business, but
Mhm.
not like behind somebody else's bar. And I think there's a lot to learn. I'm more on the mixology side more than bartending. That's more what I do. And while they are similar, have a lot of similarities, they are very different.
Mhm.
So there's different things that go into each one of them. So I'm getting that experience now of seeing like behind the bar how you do things.
Right.
And it is like shout out to the bartenders because it's a
Yeah.
lot of work.
Mhm.
It's a lot of work.
Hey,
You're on your
Harvey.
feet constantly.
Yeah, I can.
Mhm.
I'm sure of that.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Were
it's
the
good.
people nice to you?
Yeah, they were. Yeah. I messed up a couple times, but I have to keep telling myself it's a learning experience.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I guess that's what inspired your passion for
Yeah.
mixology or for bartending and just the aesthetics of
Yeah.
creating drinks.
Yeah. I really, like I said, I like the mixology part. I like coming up with different like flavors and putting things together. I like the way I used to do styling for people like
Okay.
in fashion, and so I've always had like an eye for things, but like I just couldn't figure out how I really wanted to place that or where I wanted to place that. I like having parties and events, but I don't like to put it all together. It's too much work. So I like to be able to manage just something smaller, and I can do that with cocktails and mocktails.
Right. Okay. So do you have a business partner or is it just you?
It's just me.
Okay.
Yeah, my family helps out a lot though, because it's just me. But yeah, just me.
Mhm. Love it. So, but when you have a large event, you said it's just your family that helps out or jumps in?
Yeah, and also, and I always, every time like I talk about mixed, I talk about On the Rocks because she helps me out a lot. Charisse of On the Rocks.
Yeah.
She also has a mobile bartending business, her own, completely separate from mine, but we help each other a lot, which is really nice because in this industry, it's hard to find people that do the same thing as you, and to be able to be friends with them is a
Right.
whole other challenge. So yeah, we're really close. We help each other. She just helped me with an event last weekend, and I'll help her.
Mhm.
And yeah, so
It's good to have somebody you can lean on
Yeah.
who works in the same
Yep,
industry.
for sure.
Yeah, because they're event planners that I, have to tap into or
Yeah.
hand things off to if
Yep.
my plate gets too full. Like, can you take this? Can I
Yeah.
give this to you? So I like that
Exactly.
she can come through.
Yep, and we
in
do
that
that
way.
for each other a lot too. Like, hey, there's this person reached out to me. I can't do it. Can I send them your way? So we do that all the time.
Yeah, I love it. What do you enjoy most about working in the hospitality industry and, from a bartending perspective?
Just being able to use that creative side of my brain. So I
Mm.
have, 9 to 5 and things
Mhm.
like that, but you don't really get to use that side in that
Right.
type of world. So being able to just be creative, especially when people let me just do whatever I want to do. The people that just
Yeah.
let you have that creative freedom, I
Yeah.
love that because I can just come up with all kinds of crazy stuff and try it.
Mhm.
And then when people love it, that makes me even more happy.
Right. So I want to talk a little bit about trends and culture and kind of everything in between as it relates to hospitality and bartending. What would you say? What ways do you stay updated on the latest trends and techniques in mixology?
You know what's funny? I make it a point not to stay on top of trends. I like to just do my own thing. Like I don't
Mhm.
follow a bunch
Mhm.
of other, unless they follow me, I'll follow them back or something, but I don't follow for inspiration.
Right.
I like to try to see like what I like mostly. So I don't too often go out and like seek like what's trending right now. I base
Mhm.
all of mine off of they're personalized. Every event that I do is personalized. So all of the cocktails that I come up with, like
Mhm.
when you tell me what your design idea is or your aesthetic for your event is, I build off of that.
Okay.
So that's I just kind of pull things together based off of what the host tells me that they're doing, and I just go from there.
Yeah. I love it. So how do you, when it comes to culture, how do you incorporate different, I guess, diverse cultural influence into different cocktail recipes? Is it really just based on what the client wants? Are you experimenting with different flavors and such? Or what does
Yeah.
that look like for you?
I do research. I look into depending on like maybe what they want. Like for example, I had one where the host was going to Italy, and so it was like a party for her, like to celebrate her going to Italy.
Mhm.
So really doing that research, what's popular in Italy, what are the flavors, what are the types of alcohol that you have there. So we might do something like an April spritz, super popular, using those flavors that
Mhm.
are popular over in Italy. So you have to really do that extra research, which makes it fun too, because then you're learning different things. I'm also wanting to get into tequila. And so that's going
Okay.
to require me to go to Mexico a lot. And
Well, that's a great excuse.
right. So yeah, that's really what I want to do next is understand and learn more about tequila coming straight from the source.
Yeah. So have you traveled abroad anywhere else that
No, not
no,
yet.
not yet.
Nope.
Okay.
I think that'll be my first thing that I do. We'll be going to Mexico, and I want to test out different tequilas.
Right. So are there any ingredients that you source locally for your cocktails?
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about that and where you get them from and how
Yeah.
those relationships kind of came about?
Yeah. So, I mean, I will try to reach out anytime I have anything that I'm doing. If it calls for something that I know of that's based out of Milwaukee, I do try to go with that option if I can.
Mhm.
So for example, I had an event and I used bitters, but I go to Bitter Cube.
Yeah. I'm familiar.
Local.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'd rather. And also they have a lot of different options that there's just not out there. So
Mhm.
that makes it even better. I haven't yet built relationships with too many people who own these brands, but
Yeah.
I do prefer to use local. Or you've got like Brandy and things, 44 North, and there's a bunch of different
Mhm.
options out here actually in Milwaukee and Wisconsin. So yeah, whenever I can, I try to use those local ones first.
I love that because I think collaboration and partnership is good just
Yeah.
on a local level, just
Mhm.
to, spread the wealth a little
Exactly.
bit.
Yep.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the evolving preferences of drinkers.
Mhm.
Mocktails are a big thing now and just different tastes and palates. And so, how do you, are there any insights around that, or how do you make sure that you can cater to those different taste buds and different diets?
Yeah. I always reach out and ask about that whenever I have anybody who inquires with me about an event. I try to figure out what it is, first of all, that they like. What do they know about their guests and what they might want? And I've also been now always bringing up the mocktail option,
Mhm.
because before you really wouldn't. If you were hired to bartend, you expected to show up with alcohol. And if you have signature drinks, they're expected to have alcohol in them. But then you get there and then people are like,
Mhm.
do you have anything non-alcoholic?
Right.
You're like, oh no, the host didn't really give me anything to make. So I would like sometimes try to, you can come up with things on the spot, but like there was nothing outlined. It's more of an afterthought. And so
Mhm.
those are starting to become like, now I ask every time, do you want to have a mocktail? Do you want to make a mocktail version of this? Because you're gonna get it. So you have
Mhm.
to make sure that, and even though my industry is within alcohol, you have to go with what's trending and like what's the
Right.
tide right now. And if that's what's happening, then you got to get on board with it too.
Yeah. And where have you had the most, I guess you didn't travel, you haven't traveled abroad yet,
Yeah.
but I want to know, have you had any unique cocktail experiences while traveling anywhere, domestically?
Yeah, I have, but you know what? We have some that I'm really proud of here.
Hmm.
Because you wouldn't expect them maybe to be in Milwaukee, or at first
Okay.
glance you wouldn't, if you don't know too much about. And I'm sure there's a lot of good places to eat here, but a lot of people don't know that. You have to like kind of find out about these places. But even in Milwaukee, there's Tide House.
Hmm.
That one
Oh,
is
I
really
like
really nice. I love
Tide
Tide
House. Yes.
House. It's so different. And the owner's really passionate about his establishment too. And I believe he said he's from Chicago.
Okay.
And he has or had a bar, or I don't want to call it a bar. It's not a bar, but he had a space in Chicago as well. But
Okay.
Chicago will be another one.
Yeah.
Outside of, but going back to Milwaukee, also honorable mention. Oh man. What did we just talk about earlier? We said Twisted Path.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Twisted Path.
And it's a
Yep.
distillery too, so it has you can do a distillery tour, and they've got this little like bar in the back, and then they make these custom cocktails, and that
Mhm.
it's just really inspiring to see when you go to places like that, and they're like making their own syrups and using their own kind of garnishes and things like that. So we actually have a lot of them locally.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't done a distillery tour in a while, so I think I'm overdue.
Yeah.
And lately on Fridays, I've been trying to cover different places. Like I did Bitter Cube.
Yeah.
And what did I do before Bitter Cube? I was at the chef's table. So like doing some behind the scenes tours and just to show people what's out there.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to hit up Twisted Paths
Yeah.
soon. Brewery tours always are a thing. Do you drink beer?
No, and
Okay.
but I feel like I should do the tour. Like it's a Milwaukee thing. You gotta just do it. So that's on my list too for summer.
Right. So has there been anyone in the industry that's been a major influence on your journey? And it could be someone you know or don't know. Is there anyone around you or that inspires you?
Yeah. I mean, I had a couple people like starting out mostly like that gave me that push, I think, or like really helped. Not only, you know what, and I can't even remember the man's name, but the owner of Tide House, he came over, he talked to us at our table because we had our Liquor Lab shirts on. Me and Sharice went and we were doing like a little review thing, and he's like, what is that? What does that mean? And so we're talking to him about it, but he was, telling him what we do.
Yeah.
And he gave us so many tips and like so many different things, like books that we should read and all this stuff, all this knowledge. And you just wouldn't expect it from people, because not everybody wants to help people, or care enough to, know more about you and what you're doing. But he liked what we were doing with it. And he's like, yeah, if I can help out anytime, let me know. Like he gave us his number. And so like stuff like that is really cool to me. Portman's too. I mean, I always credit Portman's for me actually starting my journey, because when it was during the pandemic and of course bars and stuff were closed, and so they were selling like kits that you take home and you make your own drinks at home. So I bought one from Portman's and I went home and made it, and it was a peach old fashioned. I'll never forget it. And that kind of made me, I was like, man, I like doing this. This is really fun, like mixing up this stuff and like using these things that you wouldn't maybe normally use. And so that was when I first started to say, like, you know what, I'm just gonna try this out more and see where this goes.
Right.
Yeah,
that's dope. So you've been I guess dabbling a little bit more in events.
Yep.
And I want you to tell us a little bit about some of the events that you've done. I know you just did was it mocktails in March?
Yeah.
Okay. What inspired that event?
Mocktails in March. So it was a spinoff to the Liquor Lab. Liquor Lab is the event that Sharice and I do together, and it's all like laboratory themed. So we have our little white coats and stuff, and the guests have their little beakers and all that they're making 2 cocktails with.
Okay.
So we walk you through that process, and we just have like food and little photo booths and stuff like that. And it's based around education mostly of how to curate a cocktail the right way.
Okay.
And also safely, because there's a lot of I think a misconception about alcohol and how to drink it the right way. So we educate during that process as well. And so Mocktails in March was a spinoff of that. And it was because we got a lot of interest in non-alcoholic, and we're like, we should do something that's not an afterthought and making it something that's just like, oh yeah, we can substitute yours or not put alcohol in yours. Like we wanted to have something that was specifically for people who wanted mocktails.
Okay.
And it was on St. Patrick's Day. So another big day where people usually drinking so yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to go on a quick break, and then we'll come back and learn a little bit more about mixed MKE behind the scenes.
What's your flavor? What's your flavor? Tell me what's your flavor.
Milwaukee. We are about to enter one of the most important election seasons of our lives. 2024 is going to be pivotal. Here at WNOV, we work to ensure that our listeners are informed, knowledgeable, and engaged. On Tuesday, April 2nd, tune in from 3 to 8 p.m. for another edition of Election Central. Hear from candidates, discuss ballot referendums, and get real-time election updates and report problems throughout the course of the day. We are ready, and you should be too. Election Central on WNOV 860 AM 106.5 FM, sponsored by Souls to the Polls.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
Looking to leave a lasting impression? Look no further than Great Impressions Graphics and Printing. With over 25 years of experience, we're your one-stop shop for all things printing. Whether it's custom invitations, banners, apparel, or high-quality on-time funeral programs, we've got you covered. Planning a family reunion? We'd love to help. Visit our website at greatimpress.com or give us a call at 414-536-7646 to start your next project today. We're here when you need us.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
Are you ready to take your self-care routine to new heights? Introducing Bird Songs, your one-stop destination for all natural body essentials. Now open at our brand new location, 7123 West Greenfield Avenue. That's 7123 West Greenfield Avenue. Come check out an extensive collection of body oils, shea butter, soaps, hydrating lotions, refreshing shower gels, and enchanting incense. For more information, please visit birdsongsonline.com.
Hey, Milwaukee, this is Mandela Barnes. You probably know me as the former lieutenant governor, but I'm also a proud product of Milwaukee Public Schools and a proud son of a Milwaukee Public School teacher. And that's why I'm supporting Yes for MPS. We have strong public schools, we have strong communities, we have a strong workforce, and everyone can succeed. For years, we've seen Republicans in the legislature continue to fail Milwaukee students by withholding resources that force devastating cuts to our schools. This referendum is our chance to stand up for our kids and provide them with the opportunities they deserve and say yes to their futures when so many have told them no. If the referendum fails, consequences for our children, our parents, our educators, and for the future of our city will be dire. So let's do our part, Milwaukee. Join me in voting yes for MPS on April 2nd.
Paid for by the Vote Yes for MPS Committee.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
What's your flavor? What's your flavor? Tell me what's your flavor?
Now, back to Flavor Fix with your host, Samantha Starr on 860 AM and 106.5 FM.
All right, we're back on Flavor Fix with Miss Courtney from Mixed MKE. She was just telling us a little bit about one of her signature events, mocktails in March. Where did we leave off?
Just basically what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to finish sharing what that was, how often it happens.
It's new for us. So this was
Okay.
the first one that we've done. So the Liquor Lab, we did 3 of them last year. We didn't do any of them this year yet.
Okay.
But this was our first one. We wanted to see how it would go. Hopefully there will be another one. That we've been kind of playing around with the idea of another one. But I'm not sure exactly when that will be.
Right. Yeah. I want to learn a little bit more about the Liquor Lab. And what inspired that collaboration with On the Rocks?
You know what is crazy? Like, we just met up one day because we were like, oh, she does the same thing that I do. Like, let's go and like chit chat about, whatever business. And so we went to Foundation,
Okay.
which is another little tiki bar here, and had drinks there. And we were like, hey, we should do this. And we just started thinking about like things that we could do. And it worked out really well. And so then we were just thinking, we had the idea of what we wanted to do. We wanted to do this cocktail class as just something different that we didn't have here in the city. And but we were stuck for a long time on like, okay, what do we call it? Do we combine our names? And we were like stuck on the name for so long. And one day I was just like, the Liquor Lab, and we'll do a lab theme. I'm good at coming up with stuff like that. So she was like, that's perfect. Let's do that. And it was really cute.
So how many people generally are at the Liquor Lab events?
We try to keep it small. So under 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
That way. So are people like paired up, or how does
everybody does their
work?
own thing. So you get a tray of your ingredients for each one of our drinks that we make. We make usually one that's based on like the season. And then one about like maybe the holidays or something. So for example, around Christmas, you had one that was like Christmas themed, but then winter centric ingredients. So we switch off on who does which one. And so everybody gets their own ingredients.
Can
and
you walk us through one of those? Pick one, like the Christmas ingredients or spring. I don't know. You have one that you've done like around this time?
Just the mocktails.
Just the mocktails.
Usually it's quarter 4 that we are into quarter 1. So we've
well, it doesn't matter. But yeah, tell us, those ingredients and what that was like.
Oh, I gotta think back now.
Or whatever's fresh.
I want to say it was kiwi that we used. Was it kiwi we were gonna use or pear? I forget.
Okay.
But I think it was kiwi. It was one that you wouldn't expect to be a winter fruit. And so that was one thing that was like good to know, interesting to know. That was the December one. And I really want to say it was like kiwi. But yeah, so let me think about it. Yeah, so we walked through that, making it with that ingredient, talking to people about what it was, the alcohol that we used in it. We talked about why we were using it, where it comes from, the facts to know about things like tequila and that it has to be from Mexico for it to be tequila, things like that. And so we just walk through, put in those, and each time we do something, we want you to know why we're doing it, down to why we're using that glassware or that kind of ice or whatever the case may be. So we go through the first one together, have the guests test it out, they drink it, we break, come into the next one after that, and walk through that same process again.
I love it. What has been some of the most, I guess, popular classes or drinks that people really were raving about afterwards?
We get a lot of good feedback, to be honest, on all of them. What I really like is that when people say, usually I don't drink this, or I don't usually like this, but this was really good. This is a different way. I would have never thought to do it this way. So I think they've all been a hit. I don't think we've actually had any that anybody was like, this was terrible.
Yeah, 'cause it's a learning experience. It's a palate experience. And you said you're only doing one type of cocktail in that session, right?
We do one each. So we like one of us might do. We try to keep it where one person does something shaken, the other person does something that's like stirred or just like on the rocks.
Okay.
So but they're different types of drinks in each one.
Now, do you pair any snacks or food with those cocktails that you do during the class, or do you just have general refreshments?
General refreshments.
Okay.
Not yet, but we change it up all the time. We do different things. Sometimes we have wine tastings. And we had people come in to teach us about that, or teach the group about wine. We've had non-alcoholic vendors who gave or non-alcoholic beverage business owners, and they've provided us with samples to give to the group. So we always try to switch it up and do something different. Pairings could be something that we would do down the line, but for now we just have been keeping it as general food.
No, I just wanted to know, has there been, well, I think I kind of asked that one already. So what key elements do you consider when you are creating a new cocktail? What goes into that preparation, that thought process? Where are you getting those creative juices from?
There's a lot, really. I start with like what I want to taste, like what's something that I want to try or use. Oftentimes it's like, what haven't I done yet? Or something that I think is cool that nobody else has done, and I'm like, want to try that. For example, rambutan is not very popular. It's similar to lychee, but it's a little different. And so just figuring out, okay, what would go with that. So there's a lot of process, and you have to test it out by itself. Then you pair it with some type of alcohol, like what's a good pairing with that type of taste. You have to consider, are there syrups? Is there citrus that needs to go into it? Are you going to buy that? Do you make it? I prefer to make my own syrups. And if you do make it, what are you going to put in it? Then you got to figure out glassware. What is this? Is it a martini? Does it go in a martini glass? Is it a margarita? So you have to figure that out. And then the type of ice you use is also really important. And people don't think about that a lot because you think ice is ice, but it's not. It's different depending on what you have. So, and then garnish, super important.
I want to hear the breakdown of the ice that you would use with different cocktails.
Yeah. So anything for me that has like whiskey in it, let's say an old fashioned Manhattan, if you're going to use ice, it should be a large ice cube because it doesn't melt as quickly as chopped up ice. So it's more so to keep the whiskey or brandy cold versus watering it down, because that's what's going to happen over time. So it stays longer. So I always will use like big, if I can, big rock type ice. For margarita, I mean, you could use like standard, ice. I hate refrigerator ice though, like the kind that you put like from the little trays or whatever. I just buy a big bag of ice and I just use that, or like really chop it up. For anything that's like a daiquiri or like a tiki drink, I use the really, really tiny ice. Just because it makes it more slushy to me. So yeah, and those types of things, it's okay to water down a little bit because it's usually heavy on like syrups and juices and alcohol content. So it's okay to add a little water into it.
Are there any glasses that are frowned upon, like for a specific cocktail?
Yeah, I'm sure. There's some lines I won't
for
cross.
you, or like, are there? Like, what? Are
I don't, but I love using glassware that like doesn't belong. Like, I love it. I don't know why I put a cocktail in like a wine glass or whatever. Like, I just like that it's not supposed to be that way. But there are some lines that I won't cross.
And what are those?
Mojito has to go into some type of like mojito type glass. You have to have
like a longer.
Okay. Yeah, longer glass, Collins glass, something like it can't be. You can't put it in a margarita glass. Like that's not right. That's not okay. Yeah, but I think that's really like the main one for me. That I'm just like, no, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Martinis technically, yes, should be martini glass or a champagne coupe. But again, like it depends because what all is in it. This past weekend, I made a martini and it had champagne in it. So I used the champagne flute because you've got a combination of the two. So you can kind of, but if it was just a martini, like if it was a Cosmo, it can't go in a champagne flute. Like it's wrong.
That's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
What is your favorite glass?
A coupe glass.
A coupe glass.
Yeah.
Do you have any particular brand that you like? Nope. You just love just the aesthetic of it.
I love how it looks. Or like those diamond cut, I think they're wine glasses. But again, I put martinis and stuff into those, or margaritas into those. I just like the shapes. I love the coupe glass. It's like dainty and girly and
Did you bring a cocktail today?
I did.
Or a mocktail?
I didn't.
You didn't? Okay. No, it's okay. I know we talked about it. So I just wanted to give you the opportunity to share in case you did, because I shared some beautiful pictures of your work and your aesthetic, and it's just so, I just love the colors that you bring together and the look with your displays. It's just really amazing.
Thank you.
So tell us a bit about how you and your team work together when you have a larger event, whether it's at, in a corporate setting or if it's at someone's home. What does that look like?
Well, first and foremost, they got to know that when I'm in mode, like I'm very like, I'm not mean, but I'm very like, this is what I need. This is how I need it to be done. But they get that, and they know that about me, and so they don't ask questions. Just, okay, she needs this. Let me go get this. What can I get you? Like they understand. There's a lot riding on it. Like, it's somebody else's event, and you have to put your best foot forward. So you have to make sure that you're on top of everything.
Right.
And so I give them breaks. I feed them, whatever, but I typically don't. I'm usually the one that's like just running around, and I'm okay with it because it's my business, it's my brand. So I'm the one that does the majority of the work, and I like it that way.
Yeah. And what's your favorite, events, private parties at homes, or what do you think? Outdoor events?
I would say, oh no, I hate an outdoor event. I can't even lie. I hate an outdoor event.
Like what kind? Like a festival, or if it's outdoor at somebody's
outdoors,
home?
Anything.
Really?
No outdoors for me. Just because there's the elements. There's so many elements out there. And I've done a few of them and they were fine. Like it came out cute still, but there were things that were a challenge that aren't normally a challenge, like bees and bugs. And the ice melts quickly because usually these events are going to be in the summertime. So it's hot out and it just does wind, knocking things over. There's a lot. So I think if you have an outdoor event, make sure you have a tent for your bar area. And I would say food area too, because those things are going to be out there and it makes it hard, and it's hot and sticky, and oftentimes you don't have so no outdoors.
So how do you ensure the consistency of your cocktails when working in different settings or environments?
I measure.
Okay.
I know people are like, oh, don't do that. I don't like when they use the measure, but it's the only way to truly make sure that you have everything is going to be the same until you can eyeball it, which is not in, like, I won't have my, the people that help me out at events, they can't eyeball it. They have to measure everything out. Because I know, and I've done the cocktail a few times before it actually even went out there. I know kind of like what's supposed to go into it. But yeah, I make sure measuring to me is key, because you're gonna get that consistent flavor every time.
That's very important.
Yeah.
So you said you haven't done any festivals, right?
No.
Or like farmers markets or anything like that?
It's hard as a mobile bartender because we don't have a liquor license, so we can't provide liquor, bring liquor certain places.
So it's more it's purchased by the client. That's how you
that's how we do it. And so when it comes to like I would love to do those kinds of events, but I can't because liquor rules. You could do mocktails though, I guess, which is something that I could consider doing, but I haven't done anything like
because
that
mocktails are really up and coming right now.
Yeah.
And even with the outdoor events with families and the things, I know like Bayshore, and they do all the fun things in the summer. Those could be things that generate some clientele.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit of how your mobile bartending service works from the client perspective, that process of securing you, what that looks like.
Yeah, so I do have a website, www.mixednku.com. Shameless plug. And so I have a form on the website just giving like an idea of kind of what you want, when it's going to be, which ends up being an email that comes over to me. Then I typically will reach out via phone. I like to talk over details over the phone. I don't like to text communicate. I don't like DM communicate. Like I got to be able to talk on the phone to work through everything. We talk about what the client is interested in, what their event is, get as much info as possible. I always like to make sure that the client also has a secured venue and that the venue is okay bringing in an outside bartender, because that's the other thing. There's some venues, they have their own or they don't allow alcohol. So you got to find that out. And I prefer to do that before you pay me a deposit, because I don't want you to go through the trouble of booking me and paying me this deposit.
And then a venue won't accept you.
Exactly. Yep. So I try to have them make sure they have all that stuff situated first. And then, then there's a deposit that gets paid, and I keep the client updated through email communications throughout the time. Like, hey, here's what I ordered. just to keep that contact going, because sometimes you'll get an event that's months away, even a year sometimes, and it's kind of like there's just that awkward space. So I like to let them know I'm still here. I'm still like in here with I got your event on the books, and like I'm working through ordering and all that fun stuff. And then then I show up the day of. It depends on the package that you picked.
What are your different packages?
I've got 3 different options. Well, 4 different options. I have the like a standard bartending. So I just show up with me and that's it. And then the client provides everything.
Okay.
One option. The other option is a deluxe, where I bring everything except the alcohol. And then I stay and bartend too. Then there's a setup only. So I set up everything. I bring everything, set everything up. And then, but I don't stay to serve. And that's usually where the drinks kind of are like in dispensers. For the guests to serve themselves. And then there's the cocktail classes too. Yep. So I can do that, like private cocktail classes.
Oh, nice. So how many private classes do you do, or what does that sign up look like? Or is it just
it's the same process?
Request?
Yep, the same process. I've done 3 so far. One was like a retreat, like a corporate party kind of thing. And it's a good team building and like just fun thing to do that's a little bit different. And then a couple birthday parties.
I like that. So what did you do for the retreat as far as the cocktail experience? Was it kind of like your liquor lab class?
Yep.
Was it like that? Okay.
Yep. It's pretty much the same thing, just on a smaller scale, smaller group, different location, all that stuff. And it wasn't like themed. It was, whatever their theme was. But yeah, it's basically the same experience, just for you and your friends and family and coworkers.
Right. And how large of a group do you accommodate? What is the, parameters around that?
I don't really have any. I mean, at a certain point of like over 35 guests, there may be additional charge, because I do have hands that can, that help me. But it just depends. I mean, it just gets, the larger the group, the more bartenders and people that you're going to need, and maybe a bar back. So the more it's going to cost, but we can do it.
Have you put together some just flavor combinations that you were like, that just did not go together?
Yes.
What were those? Do you remember?
Yeah. So I tried to juice cucumber. I was going to make like a cucumber margarita. And so instead of just, I don't know what exactly went wrong. I think it was the juiced cucumber, because it was very green, almost curdled. Look, it was disgusting. Look, it wasn't that bad tasting, to be honest. It just didn't look good. It was horrible.
You got him choking over here.
I was like, what is this? It was a mess. Luckily, that was just me at home trying stuff. But yeah, it was not.
Have you ever done any blind tastings? Like just experimenting with flavors and
no, I should.
That could be something fun.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
I want to so I guess for mocktail or for the liquor lab, you said that you didn't do food pairings, but do you have any insight to share around pairing foods with different cocktails?
Cocktails to me are more fun. Like wine is like a very like pairable kind of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like certain things you kind of expect to go together, right? Like tacos or Mexican food, you're gonna have tequila. You might have whiskey with like steak or something like that, but not really. I feel like it's kind of like it's whatever you want, whatever you like, kind of.
Yeah. So how do you stay inspired? Like, because I feel like, do you feel like you always have to have something in the back, in your back pocket to just that's new and that's fresh and that's innovative?
Yeah. And you know what? That's honestly been a challenge lately, because I've been busy with so many other things that it's like, I don't have the mental capacity to be creative right now.
Yeah.
So when I have downtime is when I can be more creative, and I can like have the, time to be able to play around with stuff and see, what's the next thing I'm going to come out with. But yeah, that's really been one of my struggles lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Miss Courtney from Mixed MKE on Flavor Fix.
What's your flavor? Tell me what's your flavor?
Hey, Milwaukee, this is Mandela Barnes. You probably know me as the former lieutenant governor, but I'm also a proud product of Milwaukee Public Schools and a proud son of a Milwaukee Public School teacher. And that's why I'm supporting Yes for MPS. We have strong public schools, we have strong communities, we have a strong workforce, and everyone can succeed. For years, we've seen Republicans in the legislature continue to fail Milwaukee students by withholding resources that force devastating cuts to our schools. This referendum is our chance to stand up for our kids and provide them with the opportunities they deserve and say yes to their futures when so many have told them no. If the referendum fails, consequences for our children, our parents, our educators, and for the future of our city will be dire. So let's do our part, Milwaukee. Join me in voting yes for MPS on April 2nd.
Paid for by the Vote Yes for MPS committee.
If you're looking for mouth-watering eats and delectable treats, look no further. Eat local and visit the Sherman Phoenix today, where you can find everything from delicious organic wings and smoked barbecue to satisfyingly seasoned vegan food to sweet, buttery, made-to-order desserts. The Sherman Phoenix is also home to a day bar, serving mixed, frozen, and tropical drinks. Experience the Sherman Phoenix effect at 3536 West Fond du Lac Avenue, open Tuesday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Visit theshermanphoenix.com to learn more.
Carter's Creations, when quality and service matters for any occasion. Sometimes you just want to send a floral arrangement for a get well, anniversary, birthday, or I messed up, or just because. Carter's Creations at 1727 West Hampton Avenue is the place you need to call. So call them today at 414-265-1727 or visit them online at carterscreations.com. Carter's Creations has been in business for over 30 years. Therefore, you know they know what they're doing. They also specialize in funerals as well. So when you need that special floral arrangement, think of Carter's Creations, when quality and service matter.
The Trump economy was a disaster for Black America. He prioritized the wealthy and big business, not us, giving them tax breaks while we got left behind. Under Trump, hundreds of thousands of Black Americans lost health insurance in the middle of a pandemic. And don't forget the division, the violence, and disrespect we faced while he was in charge. Now, he's coming after our voting rights. And if he's president again, Trump vowed to be a, quote, dictator who would get revenge. We can't go back. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are working hard for Black America. They sent $1,400 cash relief checks when they were needed most. Our wages are up. We've got millions of new good-paying jobs, and the cost of insulin is capped at $35 for seniors. There's more to do, but it's clear that on the economy, Black America is getting ahead with President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
What's your flavor? What's your flavor? Tell me what's your flavor?
Now, back to Flavor Fix with your host, Samantha Starr on 860 AM and 106.5 FM.
All right, we are back with Courtney from Mixed MKE. We've been talking all things mobile bartending, cocktails, mocktails, all of her fun events. But I have to ask, because I want you to be embarrassed. Not Have you had any embarrassing moments or mishaps that you had to quickly recover from during a bartending service?
Yeah, I don't know if I ever recovered, but I definitely have had a few different.
What did that look
moments.
like?
I mean, one was just, and it's simple, right? Like, it's not a huge deal, but it kind of is, because like I should have known this. I had like all of the types of alcohol out in the front, so people can like see what we have. And somebody's like, hey, do you have bourbon? And I was like, no, we don't have any bourbon. All we have is whiskey. And I'm like, just tell it, because he's like, oh, okay, so can I get, all right, I guess I'll do whiskey then. Can I get this, blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, oh, sure. I'm like, this man. And I look and I'm like, duh, Courtney, it is bourbon. That's all. You should know that because you're the one who crafted these cocktails and you did not. So I know, like, to everybody else, probably like not a big deal. But as a person who's supposed to know all about this, I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing.
Any big messy spills or
always?
Because I'm clumsy, so I know with me, I can't even try it because it'll be a mess. Just immediately.
Always, definitely. Then one time, an outdoor event, I had these large like dispenser things, and there were bees got into it somehow, and I had to dump all of my margarita. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me right now?
I experienced that with an outdoor event before, and I honestly just did a couple punches myself, but where we were, that backyard, it was that time of year. I think it was August.
Yep, that's the time.
And it was just the bees just swarming to it. And it's a lot. So I can imagine that is.
And I was running away from bees. They're like, what is wrong with this girl? I'm like they're chasing me because I got all this sweet stuff around me. And
I can imagine that being a challenge.
Yeah. And very embarrassing.
So what are some pro tips that you want to share for folks who, just want to host at their homes and do some fun cocktails, or for folks who want to get into bartending or this type of business as a whole?
Yeah. So I definitely would say,
or pieces of advice.
Yeah, I would say having a bartender is necessary. I know some people are like, oh, it's extra, but like, do you want to be the one to have to pour the drinks, or do you want to be the one to have to make sure that Uncle Joe is not on his third full cup of vodka? Like, you want to make sure everybody's being safe and having fun. And so it's like a must. If you're going to have alcohol, you should have a bartender at the event if you can. The other thing is always consider mocktails for your guests. It's maybe not something that you would want, but your guests are going to ask. Guaranteed, I get at least 2 to 3 people at any event that are going to ask about mocktails. So consider that too. And then for anybody interested in like being in this type of industry, creating your community, your professional community, is important. And I think in general, having a business integrity, and I mean, really making sure that you stand behind your brand and that you're doing right by people, because I don't think I've worked with a lot of people for a lot of different reasons, and I've fallen out with a lot of people for a lot of different reasons since I've had this business. And I'm like, I didn't realize it was this crazy out here with people that have these businesses, and you learn like not everybody has the same heart as you, and not everybody has the same just values.
That's true.
But if you want to have a good and successful business, you have to be a good person. Like that's number one.
Absolutely because it's your brand.
It's
your brand. It's your reputation. And who you partner with and team up with, that could tarnish your brand.
Exactly.
Depending on
who you're attached to makes a difference. And I've had situations too where maybe didn't do something right. It bothers me. Like I'm always early for events. I'm never late. I'm an hour to hour and a half early always.
Right.
That's important to me. Don't be that person that's a vendor and you show up a few minutes before the event starts because you assume that the guests won't be there, because I guarantee you there will be some people who are early there too. And you need to allow yourself time to be able to put your best foot forward at that event. So being early, communicating effectively, being able to problem solve, having good customer service. I mean, I've had to where I forgot, I made like a lavender lemonade for a party, and I've left the whole thing at home. And this isn't something you can go buy. Like I made this from scratch. Had to go all the way back. And I felt so bad about it that I told her, like, just don't worry. Like she still had a balance that was owed for something. I was like, don't worry about it. Like, it's fine. I will take, because I don't like that, even though the event hadn't started yet, by the time I got back, I don't like that I wasn't prepared. And she's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. She ended up paying me anyway and tip it. I'm like, no, it just doesn't sit right with me.
Right.
So,
But that says a lot about you as a business person. It's that accountability piece.
Yeah, you have to have that. You are responsible for you and your business. And like, regardless, you have to, that's first. Like, that's the first thing you have to make sure that you are aware of and that you can be accountable.
Right. Well, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing today with me and all things Mixed MKE. Tell our listeners where they can find you.
So I am I have a website, www.mixedmke.com. I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. It's all the same, Mixed MKE.
Mixed MKE.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And do you have any upcoming events or anything coming
I'm
up or no?
taking a little break.
Oh, you are?
Taking a little break. I'm taking it easy. Last year, I went really hard in the summertime and I had stuff every weekend. So I'm trying to find a balance now of like work life and personal and things like that. So I'm taking it easy this spring, summer.
Okay. So are you doing limited bookings or what?
Limited bookings, very limited weekends.
Okay.
During the week is way more open than weekends.
Okay. Well, that's great to know. Well, thank y'all listeners for tuning in today on Flavor Fix with Samantha Starr on WNOV, The Voice. This was our first day at our new time. We'll be back at 4:00 moving forward. And next week we have a special show with Mr. Jeremy Joyce of Black People Eat. So we're excited to share our conversation with him. And I will see you all next week. Bye.
Tell me what's your flavor.